Hey, I am back in Des Moines, Iowa. Here is the studio, and I love this facility. It's a little different than what I did for the past few months. So, you enjoy the facility, right? And I think audios and the videos are all coming through a little better when you are in studio. So today's topic is called business continuation while holding temporary immigration status. So immigration status, temporary, those are terms that you understand, especially people who immigrant to US and we understand what that means. So if you are a business owner and a immigrant, particularly holds a visa or temporary status, you're not US citizen. And this is a uncertainty time and you know what I'm talking about. So with that in mind, in this session, we want to focus on how to structure your business and personal financial affairs to navigate this uncertainty. So obviously, the tax law allows certain foreign activities and with certain structures that you can move freely, whether you are here in US or you are outside of US, whether you are on temporary visa or got denied of visa. So we want to talk about business and the money side of things related to this temporary status. So let's go ahead, introduce our company to you. Obviously, this is Community CPA. I am the CEO and managing partner for the firm. We have 5 different branches, folks, and cover 4 different states. And we also have more than 40 professionals that served in different area of our service area. So let's take a quick look at our website. Our website is communitycpa.com. This is when you log into our website, it looks just like this. And we have some buttons on the top line where the first one is onboarding with us. Say you hear my webinar, you feel like you want to talk to me, and you want us to look at your situation, give you some suggestions. You can onboard with us without even making a call. You can go on, register yourself right here, and then you can put in your documentation you need us to see, then leave us a note, then we know how to take care of you from there. A lot of our folks are very busy. They don't have time when the office is open. They don't have time to call us. And they're also a little shy from calling strangers. We are still a stranger until you engage us, right? But you can also use that appointment button. That appointment button would give you the people, the partners in our firm that we can give you advice one-on-one. With that said, we also have this knowledge base under YouTube channel. If you go on YouTube channel, you type into Community CPA, you are going to come to a site like this. On there, you can tell that we have more than 1,200 videos in our library, and you really could search on any topics related to tax and accounting. We're just not a political news website, so we are really addressing objectively and what business people would encounter. With that said, you find knowledge, useful knowledge to guide you through the up and downs. I mean, looking back histories, and you have 2008, the financial industry hiccups, and you have pandemic that we just come through 6 years ago. So with all of these things, and you kind of learned in business, and you just have to learn how to weather the circumstances, right? So this webinar is really just about that. We're weathering the circumstances. And with that said, I already covered about our firm, and here are the 2 books I wrote. I'm doing the 3rd one. The 2 I wrote is 8 a.m., that representing the beginning of the day, the starting up of a business. 10 a.m. representing in the middle of the morning, growing your business. So I'm writing 2 p.m., which is to expand your business. It is such a difficult book, the 3rd one, to write, because I never really got the sense for myself that I am done expanding community CPA. The first two books are kind of with our foot traffic. We walk the path we rode. So it offers the experience of our own and also our clients to you. Of course, in the book, I reference to the big shots, and they are also there. So you can kind of find the relevancy between people who play big or people like us who play small, right? And the 2 p.m. is expansion. So much varieties is in there. I am still gathering information. I am still learning my own ropes to see whether I can expand community CPA to the way I imagined, and then to the way the book wants to present. Then I will launch that book. And then, of course, my last book is 6 p.m. is retiring from your business. I don't really have an answer whether retiring is really the right word to use, because a lot of entrepreneurs I know, if you ask them, why are you retiring? They laugh at you. They were like, what do you mean retiring? I'm having such a good time. I don't want to ever retire. So I totally understand. So let's see what happens, right? So, but 4 books in the series, that is my plan to finish 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. Of course, and the internet offers answers you want to hear. Did you hear me? You can always search the internet, find the answer you want to rely on. Just like the news, right? The medias, the social media news. You can find the left, the right, the middle, and nowhere. So it's like whatever they say, and if you really go through the spectrum, you're going to end up in the place where you don't really believe anything out there anyway. So with that said, the knowledge for taxes accounting is the same way. You're going to find people who speaks just what you want to hear. But what we want to do here is actually provide you knowledge that we can reference back to irs.gov. We can reference that back to the governmental side, right? So we give you what that need to be done in case you get audited and you know that you have a solid backing for what you are doing. So we say no responsibility disclaimer is not to say that we're gonna say whatever we want to say, we don't care. No, it is for you to take our knowledge, critique it to your size, and making that applicable to you, then you use it. You cannot just take whatever out on internet, maybe even misunderstood what was said, and then to use it. So whenever you got into a serious matter that determines on your dollars and the futures and your next generation, you need professional to help you. Just never be stingy about that. Be kind to your future. Be kind to what you would face and be prepared. That's the only way to do it. Objective for today's webinar, and the immigration status can be a complex matter, right? It is an emotional draining process. It is absolutely emotional draining. And I came through that twice in my own life, one time in Canada, one time here in US. So I know what it means draining process, immigration process. So one day you felt so helpful on top of the mountain. Next day you're so hopeless and in total darkness, and it's just uncertainty, right? Understand your visa status. That is so important. Yes, it's uncertain. You might be legal today, and the next minute you are illegal, and understand. You want to understand your visa status and do not violate the rules surrounding that visa. Do not. Just be more careful about that. And you already see the news. I don't have to repeat it. People are revoked with their status because they were doing things that the current government do not approve. So with that said, you want to be vigilant about your status. No, okay, I'm in this status. I am in, temporary treaty-based visa, like E2. Depends on your nationality, where you come from, and the investment size. You may be working without authorization. So just those are the things you want to understand. You special scope. This webinar, we aim to objectively assess these uncertain situations, identify maximum protection we can provide to you for your business and wealth in U.S. All right? So let's go for it. There's only 6 points to consider. If you listen to this webinar, take down these points. Just write it down on a piece of paper, take a screenshot, because I want you to go through all of these to prepare yourself. The first one, to update your business structure. You might be, for whatever reason, you might be a LLC today, or you might be an S corporation, but your visa status is uncertain, and you're not sure tomorrow you'll be deported or not. Then what you need to do is to switch your organization into C Corp. C Corp is the most convenient entity to operate, allows non-resident owners. Means that you can be a resident of Canada and operating business here in U.S. Okay? And here, if the C Corp distribute leftovers, profit, and then that will come to you as a dividend. You are a non-resident, so you are entitled to the dividend of your own company for the profit you make. And you can also apply to not be withheld for the dividends. So if your ownership of your company is greater than 25%, no problem. And your U.S. company just need to file a Form 5472, additional form. So what I'm trying to convey to you is, if your status is uncertain, you're not sure tomorrow when you come into U.S. you will be rejected or not. With that thought, and because if you're an S corporation and you're not a resident of U.S. and you can't hold that entity is automatically revoked back to C Corp. So you want to be proactive and get yourself to a C Corp, and you can sign a POA with your lawyer, with community CPA, or any CPA firm in the country to take care of that for you. That is so doable. The reason I'm talking about these structures, just because C Corp is straightforward, easy to operate when you are not a resident here in U.S., you are not tax residents, and you cannot be in the country, or you are running a risk of being deported out of the country, right? That's number one, business structure. Number two, business ownership. Of course you own the business. Of course you are in the uncertainty status, right? And but you build the business and you should have it. And you should have your ownership. We don't want you to lose your ownership, right? So, one quick solution, if you are in the partnership with someone, you have 25%, convert that into C Corp. Get your 25% of shareholding in that C Corp. If you have a U.S. born or other U.S. status children or relatives that you can rely on, trust, they stay in U.S. and you can plan to pass your ownership to these children or the people with valid status. And in case your visa is terminated and you're no longer in U.S., you would not be subject to U.S. gift tax rules for those U.S. tax residents. So basically, you got a company here, and you're in Mexico, and obviously you want to give ownership to your children, you're done, because you're a Mexico resident. So the gift tax rules in U.S. is for U.S. residents, so that's not really applying to you. So you can gift your business to any U.S. person, and including your U.S.-born adult child, right? You can do that. You can give the ownership to them. And in case you are not able to live in U.S. anymore, you can appoint guardian for your minor children. Then your guardian will take care of your business. The business is owned by your minors. So if they're not older than 18, they can still be a business owner. They just need to have a guardian appointed to them. So the guardian will sign and manage your business on children's behalf. Okay? You can arrange to sell it, the ownership, so you don't just lose it, walk away, or lost it, and in the mix. So you see, you have time. You can, even though you are already in Mexico, you can still dictate how the business be sold, how the business be transferred, and how you would manage this ownership, and with you yourself still part of the ownership. All right, so that's number 2. And number 3, business banking. This by far is the hardest one. Why do I say that? Because normally when you have a business, who can sign the business or transact on the business? At the bank, it is you. You have a signature card or whatever record you have with the bank. So if you suddenly go, oh, I'm not here, so someone else could have to do that for me, to send wires and authorize withdrawals, all of these things. And then that person need to go with you to the bank to get that established. So while you are still here, while the uncertainty did not materialize, you should just do that. You should have another person other than you, another person without the uncertainty, to be able to access your bank on behalf of you, to be the co-signer for the bank. You know, you may also, if let's say you didn't do it, something happened and you couldn't enter the border anymore, they rejected you at Chicago airport, and you have to go back, then you can circumvent that problem by transfer 20% of your company share to that person you want that person to transact on the bank. So what's going to happen is you will remotely do this share transfer. So that can be done remotely. So then this person got 20% of share of the company, and this person will go to open the new bank account. So everything will be transacted that way. And or this person can take the 20% of share proof to the existing bank to get their name in to transact on the same bank. Just depends. Some banks allow that, some don't, but this is the way to circumvent this particular problem if you are already gone. But the bank, nobody can access. You can't rely on yourself, just remote access from another IP address. I mean, if the control comes down, you know the government has control to your IP address too. If the IP address is coming from Mexico, and they can block you, you can't get in to any banks in U.S. anymore. That can be done. It is not done doesn't mean it cannot be done. So that's what I'm saying to you, that your business banking is actually one of the things that you need to prepare early. This is probably the hardest one to do it remote. All right. Of course, my last sentence says that the signer must be someone you trust. Yes, of course, right? And you know, you think I just put in there for no good reasons. How many times, you know, somebody assigned a signer to the account, then circumstance happened, they don't trust each other anymore, so this has become a nightmare, right? But in any case, as long as you have the ownership of the company and you can assign a 20% to somebody else, that person can access your bank. All right. Our next one is management. Yes, you have this uncertainty, and you really need to secretively finding a person or number of them to be able to replace you while you are totally gone, while you are not here. And if you are in the camp where they detained the deportees, then I don't think you have internet to operate anything. But if you are outside of the country and you yeah, you can remote control, you can do Zoom, but it is not the same as management. So I always say that the ownership and the management are two distinct roles within a company. Most of the small business owners, they are everything. They are the owner, they are the manager, and they even the chef, they even the server, and they're everything. But if you are the person with uncertain immigration status, and what we need you to do is to pause what you're doing, start splitting your roles. These two roles are important, ownership and management. You want to split out the management, finding the right candidate. Since you face uncertainty, you now need time to further define the roles, give job description, know exactly what this person gonna do in case you are not there. Come up with compensation for this person and have that in mind. Maybe engage a private conversation. Just say, hey, what if I die tomorrow? Would you do that for me? Right? If you don't want to disclose any uncertainty, just say, what if I got into a car accident? Cannot make decision for a while. Would you do that for me for a little bit? Right? You'd engage that conversation. What you also need to know is your business has license. Not all the business requires license, but a lot of them do. Normally, the license is tied to the business. So as long as you are still the business owner, business ownership did not totally change person. You keep the EIN number and everything. That should not be a worry. But some of the licenses are tied with the owner. For example, liquor license. If you own more than 10% of the ownership here in Iowa, then this owner need to be tested for no drunk driving before they can issue liquor license. So the ownership percentage has something to do with certain license that you need to know, right? Then if you are the person holding that special license, then you probably should work it up and find another person who can replace you for that percentage of ownership so you can continue operate as the way you are. So business management is an area that I want you to think about it. Of course, the next topic I have, it is the owner compensation. This is the number 5. I know it is your business, your visa support you to work in U.S., your company will pay you like a W-2 income, right? So those are the ones, the L1 visa, for example, support you to work, so you got your W-2. But if your visa does not support you to work as a W-2 worker, and you are in U.S. and you have this company, and you can only be paid as a passive income earner, which means dividend, which means passive K1, right? So you're getting dividend and K1 from your own company, from the passive activities, because you can work to earn that money. It's not an earned income. So you don't get W-2. You get 1099 DIV, you get 1099 K1, right? So for example, F1 student visa. They are allowed for up to 20 hours per week during academic sessions, up to 40 hours per week during the breaks time, and this is on-campus employment, right? So if you have F1, you need to know that. You don't want to violate your visa. For off-campus employment, of course, you should not be, first of all, you should not be employed regularly. Of course, there is an exception. It's like economic hardship. You can file, you can request that from USCIS for approval. Then there's also what we call the CPT, which is curricular practical training. Those are allow you to work outside of campus, right? But you need to get that approval, and also that CPT stuff need to tie with what you are studying. So what I'm trying to give you an idea is that your visa dictates what you can do and cannot do. But if you're an F1 student and you have a C corporation, you're a shareholder, does that violate the visa? That does not. because you are just an owner of a company, just like you go online, buy shares from Microsoft, and that doesn't violate your status because those are passive income you're making here in U.S. So with that said, again, come back to what we're talking about. If you are, if you have this temporary visa and try not to trigger yourself be deported by quote unquote violated the rules, right? So this part, the owner compensation, while you are in the country, you watch your visa. But what if you are already outside of U.S., but you own 20% of the company? Then you can get paid. If you work, you can get paid just like how the U.S. company pays Filipino bookkeepers. We don't have any. We don't farm our activity out to overseas. That is a very strong principle that at Community CPA, everything is done here in U.S. by our U.S. professional staff. And so, but there are a lot of CPA firms, even the big fours, they farm them out to Philippines. So what happens? These people don't get a 1099. And they actually just get paid as normal. So you write a check here out of a U.S. bank, out of your U.S. company bank account, and pay to the worker outside of the country. They produce that service outside of the country, so they don't pay taxes to you. They pay taxes to their own country. But here in U.S. as an employer, and you need to have them sign W-8-BEN, so you don't have to withhold their payment. Otherwise, you do withholding, then this worker will just file 1040-NR. It's not impossible. It is pretty smooth. If you do that, you get your payment back, right? Because you're outside of the U.S. So as a business owner, you can get paid that way. You can get paid by K-1 payment. You can get paid by 1099 dividend. And so you get paid. You are working outside of U.S., so you don't get 1099. You don't get 1099 NEC, the non-employment compensation, right? It is your company, so be sure to pay yourself correctly. It is your company, so you can't just write a check and pay whatever you want. Pay yourself correctly according to the visa restriction. Make sense? All right. The last one, but really not the least, because these 6 items are the item we tell you that if you are in uncertainty, you should have done that already. But if you have not, do it now. Do it now. So business tax, since you are converting it to C Corp, right? Whatever you are doing, convert that to C Corp. The company would report its income and expense at the company level. And, nowadays we're talking about the income tax being lowered by, the C Corp tax will go lower, which is all good news for you because your income tax will be less, okay? And this money you pay for the business income tax, that is not coming from your personal bank account. That is coming from the company bank account. You write a company check to pay, and the most recent rules just came out. The Treasury no longer receive checks, so you have to use EFT payment method. So if you don't know what that is, Community CPA knows, so you can come to us, we set you up. You know that it's just electronic payment system. You pay electronically, so it goes from your company account to the government account, whether it's state or federal. If your business pays other taxes like payroll tax, sales tax, property tax, all of these are paid from the company bank account. So your business tax should be managed professionally. You want a CPA here in U.S. to help you do everything timely. If you are bearing that uncertainty, you really should now look for a CPA firm and have them handle your affairs. And you got used to them, they got used to you. Even if you are not coming to see them, you don't feel that you don't know them, right? So visit your CPA firms and getting everything set up so they can operate with you being remote. You always can contact the U.S. accountant while you're overseas. So we even know that there are overseas companies, they haven't even started doing business here in U.S. yet. They already fixated on the CPA firm, knowing where they should go when they start working here, operating in U.S. All right. So with that, and I want to say that we went through 6 major considerations, right? We want you to understand those 6 items are the things you want to settle before you do anything else. If you have a business and your status is uncertain. With those 6 put behind, and you already taking care of your money, that is your money. That is your legacy. So making sure you take care of that ahead of the game. All right. Here is our partner list. This is our partner list, and you can see I'm there. And if you have any more questions, wanting us to be one of your advisors, to give you ideas, to help you get it all done, and we do have the tools and the skills, the experiences to help you. And of course, you can always double check on our YouTube channel. We have so many knowledges that we shared. The whole purpose of our webinar is not about getting you to work with us only. The whole purpose of this webinar is to get you to know there is a solution. If you can just know there is a solution, you already resolve your problem 50%. So you can go to whoever you want to go to. Might be your brother-in-law who is the lawyer, can take care of this for you. And it might be your mother-in-law who is the accountant, can do that for you. So you go with whoever you trust the most. But this website, this webinar, is just to give you the ideas to say there is a solution. With that, I will conclude with our last slides. And you see Catherine at communitycpa.com. She is the backbone of this whole webinar. And I get information from her, and she reminds me on things I need to do. So cannot say enough of her ability and her dedication to provide knowledge to the public. And of course, our website, our YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel. And one last thing, we are a firm operating 6 days a week. Yeah, 6 days a week. And not just for the tax season we do that, the whole year we operate that way. So if you just don't have time, you only have time on Saturday to work on your business, you can engage us on Saturday. So we will have a real person talking to you on Saturday. That's our promise to bring convenience to small, busy business owners. I'll talk to you again. See you. Have a great weekend.